Video I will discuss about the special senses. Okay, you all know our five types of senses or sense organ, and the senses are taste, smell, hearing, vision and touch. That things you all are know, and now I will discuss briefly in our five senses. Okay, now then start the video. Our taste, smell, hearing, vision and touch are the important special senses. Now then discuss taste. Tongue is the organ of taste. Taste buds are the organs of the sense of taste. They are numerous in the papillae of the tongue. There are three types of papillae in the tongue. There are three types of papillae in the tongue. They are valate, fungiform, filiform. Okay, the valate are form an inverted V shape. The valate are form inverted V shape. Okay, that shape at the base. Okay, then the fungiform, these are situated on the side and the tip. Fungiform are situated on the side and the tip part. Okay, then the filiform, these are found mainly on the anterior two thirds part of the tongue. Okay, that's our tongue. Then it will be present. Okay, it will be inverted V shape, and then the both sides and the tip part is this tip part is also situated on the both side and the tip part, and that is the and this part, the two-third part, it's the form of filiform. Okay, then our four fundamental sensations of the taste are sweet, sour, bitter and salt. Other tastes are either a combinations of two or more of fundamental tastes or are associated with the sense of smell. The substances in solution form enter the pores of the taste buds and stimulate the hair-like ending of the cells. The impulses are transmitted to the thalamus and then to the taste are in the cerebral cortex where taste is perceived. The taste buds are not evenly distributed over the tongue. The stimulations of various tastes the place at different parts of the tongue. Okay, sweet and salt taste at the tip of the tongue. Sweet and salt is taste our tip of the tongue. Sour taste at the side of the tongue and bitter taste at the back of the tongue. Okay, you all know sweet and salts are taste our tip of the tongue, sour taste is the side of the tongue and bitter taste at the back of the tongue. Okay, the tongue is also sensitive to temperature, pain, touch and pressures. You all know that things. The tongue is also sensitive temperature, pain, touch and pressure. Okay, second special senses, and that is smell. An odorous material gives off particles which are carried into the nose with the inhaled air. They dissolve in the secretions of the mucous membrane and stimulates the nerve cells of the olfactory region. Okay, the air entering into the nose is heated and convection currents carry the inspired air to the roof of the nose. This part is termed as the olfactory portions of the nose. Okay, the air entering into the nose is heated and the convection currents carry the inspired air to the roof of the nose. This part termed as the olfactory portions of the nose. Okay, a slightly enlarged portion of the olfactory nerve lying above cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone forms olfactory bulb. From the olfactory bulb, sensation is passed along the olfactory tract by several relying stations until it reaches the final receiving area in the olfactory current, which lies in the temporal lobe of the cerebral hemisphere where the sensation is interpreted. Then sniffing concentrates more particles more quickly in the roof of the nose. This increases the number of special cells stimulated at the perceptions of the smells. When an individual is continuously exposed to an odor, perceptions of the odor decreases and eventually causes. This loss of perceptions affects only specific odor. This can become dangerous with escape of unpleasant smelling poisonous gases. Then it's our smell, and then our third special senses, that is the hearing. Ear is the organ of hearing. Ear is the organ of hearing. For the purpose of description, it is divided into three parts, that is the external, middle and internal. Okay? The parts of the ear. Our parts of the ear, you just see the structures and it's the parts of the ear. You will see it's the part of pinna, and it is the semicircular canal, and that is the auditory ossicles. Okay, these parts are our auditory ossicles, and that is the tympanic membrane. External ear. External ear, it helps to collect the sound waves. External ear collect the sounds waves. Okay, the external auditory mucus convey the sound waves to the tympanic membrane. The pinna of ear is irregularly shaped and is composed of cartilage and fibrous tissues. Middle ear. Middle ear is a small chamber internal to the tympanic membrane and contains air. The eustachian tubes run forward from the cavity of the middle ear into the nasopharynx where it opens. Thus, the air pressures may be equalized on each side of the drum. The auditory ossicles are three small bones arranged across the middle ear, like the chain reaching from the tympanic membrane to the inner ear. Okay. Then the external bones of the malleus shaped like hammer. The middle bone is incus, which is articulates with the malleus on the outer side and with the stapes on the inner side. The innermost is the stapes, which is attached by its oval base with the membrane closing the vestibuli fenestra or oval window. These chain bones transmits the sound from the drum to the internal ear. Okay. Then the internal ear. The internal ear consists of several cavities which channel the temporal bone. The cavity are called the outer bony labyrinth, inside which is the membranous labyrinth. These cavities contain fluid and nerve endings. These cavities contain fluid and nerve endings for hearing and balance. These cavities contain fluid and nerve endings for hearing and balance. The bony labyrinth contains fluid is called perilymph, and the labyrinth consists of three parts. The first one is the vestibules, to which all the other parts communicate. The vestibule works is the all other parts communicate. And the second one is the semicircular canals, three in number. The semicircular canals, three in numbers, and that is the superior, posterior and lateral. the superior semicircular canals, posterior semicircular canals, and the lateral semicircular canals. Each canals has a swelling at one end is called ampulla, and the function of this part is to assist the cerebellum in the control of equilibrium and sense of the positions of the body. Okay, and then the third one is the cochlear. The cochlear is its spiral tube twisted on itself, resembling a snail shell. The cochlear is the spiral tubes twisted on itself and resembling a snail shell. The membranous labyrinth contains fluid is called endolymph. The membranous labyrinth contains fluid is called endolymph, and the variations from the middle ear are transferred to the perilymph, which are then transmitted to the endolymph, stimulating the nerve endings of the auditory nerve. Okay. The auditory nerve finally conveys the information to the cerebral cortex, and the sensations of hearing is interpreted by the brain. The sensation of hearing is interpreted by the brain. The vestibular nerve distributed to the semicircular canals convey to the brain the impulse generated by the alteration in the positions of the fluid these canals. Okay, then we will discuss our another special senses, that is the vision. Eye is the organ of vision. Eye is the organ of vision. Functions of the eye is vision or seeing. You all know our function of eyes is vision or seeing. There are two eyeballs situated on the bony sockets is called orbits. Okay, there are two eyeballs. Our eye have two eyeballs, and that is situated in the bony sockets. It is situated in the bony sockets, and it's called the orbits. Okay, now see, it is the structures of section of the eye. It's the section of the eye, and it's the front view of the eye. Okay, after describe this, we will discuss these structures. Okay, then the eyeball is consist of three coats or layers as follows. The first one is the outermost fibrous coat or sclera, and the second one is the middle vascular coat or choroid or uvea, and the third one is the innermost nerve coat or retina. Okay, you just see these structures. It's the sclera, and that is the choroid, and that is the second middle vascular coat, and the innermost nervous coat is the retina. It is the suspension ligament of the lens of retina, that is the retina, and the middle layer, the middle vascular coat is the choroid, and the outermost fibrous coat is called the sclera. Okay, then discuss one by one. The outermost fibrous coat or sclera, the central transparent region of the anterior or front part, is called cornea. Over the exposed part of the eyeball, there is a superficial mucous membrane called the conjunctive, which is also reflected along the inner face of the eyelids. Our outermost fibrous coat, it is the central transparent region of our anterior or front part, is called cornea, and over the exposed part of the eyeball there is a superficial mucous membrane is called conjunctiva, which also reflected along the inner surface of the eyelids. Okay, then the middle vascular cords or choroid, the interior most or foremost part of its called its. Okay, the central adjustable opening in the ears just behind the cornea is called the pupil or the pupillary aperture. The pupil varies in size depending upon the intensity of light present. The bright light it is constricted, while in dim light it is dilated. The edge is continued behind as ciliary body. The ciliary body is continued behind as a choroid. It forms a major part of the uvea or vascular coat of the eyeball. Okay, then the innermost nervous coat or retina, the anteriorly or in front, it extends up to the limit of the choroid, and the posteriorly or behind it is continued as the optic nerve or the second cranial nerve to the brain. The cavity of the eyeball is divided by the lens. The cavity of the eyeball is divided by the lens and the suspensory ligaments into the two components. The cavity of the eyeballs is divided by the lens and the suspensory ligaments into two compartments. One anterior compartment or other the posterior compartment called the vitreous chamber containing jelly-like vitreous humor. The anterior compartment is subdivided by the ears into interior and posterior chamber. Both of these chamber contains water fluid called aqueous humor, and the communicate with each other through the pupillary aperture. Okay, then the secretion and circulation of the aqueous humor. Aqueous humor is secreted by the ciliary body into the posterior chamber and through the pupillary aperture. It goes into the anterior chamber, and the angles of the anterior chamber by the canal of sclema is drained into the veins. Okay, the secretion and the circulations of aqueous humor. Okay, then the another one special senses is our touch. Okay, the skin is the organ of sensation of touch. The skin is the organ of sensation of touch. The skin covers and protect human body. Our skin covers our body, and also that is our protection. That provides protection of our body. Okay, it divided into two layers, that is the epidermis and dermis. Epidermis is consist of satisfied epithelium containing of a number of cell layers arranged in two zones, horny zones and germinative zones. Okay, first horny zones. The horny zone lies superficially containing three upper layers, that is the stratum corneum and stratum lucidum and stratum granulosum. First one is the stratum corneum, second one is the stratum lucidum, and the third one is the stratum granulosum. Okay, then the cells of stratum corneums are thin, flat and scale like. These are ciliated, and protoplasm of these cells is replaced by horny substances is called keratin. Cells of stratum lucidum contains clear protoplasm, and some of the cells contain nuclei. The cells of the stratum granulosum contain nuclei and granules. These granules are known to be initial stage of development of keratin. Okay, then the second one is the germinative zone. The germinative zone consists of two layers of epithelial cells. The germinative zones consist of two layers of epithelial cells are the prickle cell layer and basal cell layer. Okay, first discuss prickle cell layer. Prickle cell layer minute protoplasmic threads or strands connecting one cell with another are present. Basal cell layer, the cells are arranged in wave-like order. They are packed close together and form the layer of cells which rest on the papillae of dermis. The cells reproduce rapidly and replace the cells from the superficial layer. In this layer, there are cells is called melanoblast, which contain granules of pigments or giving color of the skins. Okay, the melanoblast. These melanoblasts granules are melanoblasts granules of pigment is giving color to our skins. Okay, then the epidermis doesn't contain any blood vessels, but the cells of epidermis are bathed in the fluid is called lymph, which is collected by the different lymphatic vessels. It's the structure of our skin, and it is the layers of epidermis. Okay, after study we will discuss the structures. Dermis or true skins. Dermis or true skins is made up of fibrous and elastic connective tissues. The surface of the dermis is arranged in small papillae. There are many structures distributed in dermis, that is the blood capillaries, blood vessels, nerve endings of sensory nerves, coiled tubules of sweat glands, sebaceous glands, and the sebaceous glands are small succular glands found in the skin. They are flask shaped and often into the hair follicle. These glands are numerous around the nose, mouth, ear, and do not occur in the skin of the palm or the soil of feet. These glands secrete the oily secretions called sebum, and the sebum keeps skin soft, smooth, and gives shiny appearance of the hairs. It also acts as the bactericidal agent on the skins, preventing infections by microorganisms, and it prevents the drying of skin on the exposures to heat. Then you just see the structures of our skin, and that part is our epidermis, and below these parts are dermis. That is our hair follicles, and these parts is the irrigator muscles. Okay, and then see the layer of our epidermis, and that part is our epidermis, and these parts dermis. This is the clear view of our epidermis. Okay, then see our parts of our epidermis. That is the that part is our the stratum corneum, and this is the stratum lucidum, and that is the stratum granulosum, and it is the prickle cells of layer, and that is the basal cell layer. Okay, you will study in our epidermis part is very clearly, and we will discuss then our arrectors muscles. Okay, these arrectors muscles these arrectors are small bundles of the involuntary muscles attached to the hair follicle. When these muscles contract, it leads to erections of hair. These muscles are stimulated in the state of fear in the response of cold. Then hair follicle, it is a growth of epidermis and dermis. The hair follicle is a growth of epidermis in dermis. At the bottom of this there is a clusters of the cells is called hair ball, from which the hair grows. The physiology of skin. Skin is one of the most active organs of the body. The skin is the most active organs of the body. It contains nerve endings of many sensory nerves which act as the organ of sensation of touch and react to the unpleasant or painful stimulations. It is one of the main excretory organs and excretes out of the waste products in the form of the sweat. It protects deeper or more delicate organs of the body from injury and acts as a barrier against infections by microorganisms. In the skin, there is a substances called 7D hydrocholesterol. The ultraviolet rays of the sun act on the substances producing vitamin D. Okay. Then the regulations of body temperature. Human beings are warm-blooded animals. You all know that things. All human beings are warm-blooded animals, and their body temperature is maintained at 37 degrees centigrade. For maintaining this temperature, there is a fine balance between heat productions and heat loss from the body. Heat is produced by several body activities such as muscle contraction, chemical reaction in liver, activities in digestive organs, utilization of foodstuffs, etc. Heat is also lost from the body by different ways such as 90% by skin, 2% by expired air, and 1% in urine and feces. Only heat loss by skins can be regulated to maintain the constant body temperature. The center controlling the temperature is situated in the hypothalamus is called heat regulating center. There is also a group of cells is medulla oblongata known as the vasomotor center, which is controls the calibre of blood vessels in the skin. Okay. Our cells in medulla oblongata is known as the vasomotor centers, which controls the calibre of blood vessels in the skin. If the body temperature is increased, sweat glands are stimulated by nerve impulses from the heat regulating centers. Okay, due to the stimulation, sweat glands more amount of sweat is secreted, which is evaporated to atmospheric air. For the evaporations of sweat, heat is taken out from the skin, thus cooling the body. The amount of heat loss from the skin depends on the blood in the vessels which lie in the dermis. As the amount of heat produced in the body increases, the vasomotor centers is stimulated, which increase the calibre of blood vessels in the skin, causing vasodilations. Due to the vasodilations, more amount of blood is passed to the skin, which increases the temperatures of the skin. When this happens, there is an increase in the amount. Of heat loss by convections. and radiations from the skin. If the external temperature is low, example in winter, or if heat production in the body is decreased, the blood vessel contract, decreasing the blood supply to the skin and thus preventing the heat loss from the body. Okay, then you will study our regulating of the body temperature. Then the physiology of pain. Okay, the sense of the pain appears the individual about any type of damaging process and causes necessary muscular reactions to remove the body from the contact with the damaging stimuli. Pain receptors are stimulated. The pain receptors are stimulated when tissues of the body are being damaged. This type of damaging stimuli causing the pain are trauma to the tissues, ischemia of the tissues, which releases substances from the cells that stimulates the pain. Nerve endings. Pain from the internal organ is often felt on the surface area of the body rather than being localized in the organ itself. This is called the referred pain. The areas in the brain where sensory stimuli are carried and interpreted as pain are thalamus and hypothalamus. Okay, that is the thalamus and hypothalamus.